In the study of tort law, a fundamental question arises. When a wrongful act causes harm, what is the appropriate judicial response? The principal remedy is an award of damages. This refers to the pecuniary compensation that a court directs a defendant to pay to an injured party for the loss or injury they have sustained.
Our examination of this topic will proceed through 6 distinct sections. We will begin with the foundations of tortious damages. Then, we will clarify the critical distinction between damage and damages. Following this, we will analyze nominal and contemptuous awards, compensatory and aggravated damages, and finally, punitive and prospective damages. We will conclude with a practical application and revision of these core concepts.
Let us now turn to our first section, the foundations of tortious damages, where we will establish the core principles. At its core, damages are defined as pecuniary compensation awarded for loss or injury. The primary objective of such an award is to restore the injured party, as nearly as possible, to the position they would have been in had the tort not been committed. This is underpinned by the legal maxim, ubi jus sibi remedium, which translates to, where there is a right, there is a remedy. However, the enforcement of this right is subject to statutory limitations, such as those prescribed within the Indian Limitation Act, 1963.
We will now address a crucial point of legal terminology that requires precise understanding: the distinction between the terms damage and damages. Let us examine this distinction. Damage, in the singular, is defined as the actual injury or loss suffered by the plaintiff. Its nature is the harm itself, and its existence must be proved. In contrast, damages, in the plural, is defined as the monetary compensation awarded by the court. Its nature is that of a legal remedy, and the amount is adjudged by the court after the proof of damage.
Damages are broadly classified into 2 categories. First, general damages, which are presumed by law to be the direct and natural consequence of the defendant's wrongful act. Second, special damages, which are not presumed by law. These represent the specific and quantifiable losses that must be specially pleaded and rigorously proved by the plaintiff.
Let us proceed to our third section, which concerns nominal and contemptuous awards. These are situations where the vindication of a right, rather than compensation for substantial harm, is the primary issue.
Nominal damages consist of a small monetary sum awarded to a plaintiff to acknowledge that their legal right has been infringed, even in the absence of any actual quantifiable loss. Conversely, contemptuous damages involve awarding a plaintiff a trivial sum to signify the court's disapproval of the litigation itself, indicating that while the plaintiff may be technically correct, the lawsuit was frivolous or without merit.
The landmark case for nominal damages is Ashby v. White, cited as 1703 1 ER 417. In this case, a qualified voter was wrongfully prevented from casting his vote. Although the candidate he intended to vote for was elected, the court held that the violation of his legal right to vote was an actionable wrong. This case established the principle of injuria sine damno, a legal injury without actual damage, confirming that the infringement of a right is itself grounds for a remedy.
Our fourth section addresses the most common forms of damages, those designed to make the plaintiff whole, compensatory and aggravated damages.
Compensatory damages are intended to restore the plaintiff's economic position by covering the actual quantifiable losses they have suffered. Aggravated damages, while also compensatory in nature, address a different kind of harm. Their goal is to compensate for intangible emotional injury, such as humiliation or the stress, which has been exacerbated by the malicious or outrageous manner of the defendant's conduct.
We now advance to our fifth section, examining damages that look beyond simple compensation, punitive and prospective damages, which serve to punish the defendant and account for future losses.
This brings us to a significant legal question. Can the state be ordered to pay damages that extend beyond mere compensation for a violation of a citizen's constitutional liberty? This question is central to understanding the doctrine of exemplary or punitive damages.
Let us analyze the case of Bhim Singh versus State of Jammu and Kashmir, cited as AIR 1986 SC 494. The issue was whether the state could be compelled to pay exemplary damages for an unconstitutional detention. The rule applied was that exemplary, or punitive, damages may be awarded to punish and deter particularly egregious conduct. In this case, an MLA was wrongfully detained by the police, infringing upon his constitutional rights. the Supreme Court concluded by awarding exemplary damages against the state for the violation of Article 21.
In its judgment, the Supreme Court awarded the sum of 50,000 rupees. This award was not intended merely to compensate for the loss of liberty, but to serve as a punishment and a deterrent against similar arbitrary actions by state authorities in the future. Prospective damages are a form of compensation for losses that are reasonably certain to occur in the future as a result of the tort. Common examples include anticipated future medical expenses and the loss of future earning capacity. The case of Bhagwan Das versus Mahat Arif, cited as 1987 2ALT 137, illustrates this principle, where damages were awarded to account for the ongoing and future consequences of the injury sustained.
In our final section, we will synthesize these concepts by applying them to a practical scenario, followed by a concise revision of the key principles.
Consider the following problem. A 25-year-old worker suffers the loss of both hands due to the established negligence of his employer. The worker would be entitled to claim several categories of damages. First, general damages for pain, suffering, and loss of amenity. Second, special damages for incurred medical expenses and immediate loss of wages. Third, prospective damages for the loss of all future earning capacity. And fourth, potentially, aggravated damages if the employer's conduct was shown to be particularly reckless or malicious. For the purpose of revision, let us summarize the key points. Damages are monetary compensation. Nominal damages are awarded for a rights violation without actual harm, as seen in Ashby versus White. Contemptuous damages are for trivial actions. Compensatory damages aim to restore the plaintiff's prior position. Exemplary or punitive damages serve to punish and deter, as established in the Bim Singh case. Prospective damages cover future losses. Finally, general damages are presumed by law, whereas special damages must be specifically proved.
In conclusion, the system of awarding damages in tort law provides a structured and civilized alternative to personal retribution. It offers a means of achieving justice and is firmly supported by statutory frameworks, including key legislation such as the Indian Limitation Act 1963 and the Specific Relief Act 1963. The award of damages thus transforms legal principles into tangible outcomes. It reinforces a foundational truth of our legal system, that rights are not merely abstract concepts written on paper, they are enforceable, and their violation will be met with a meaningful remedy.